The Anti-Monitor versus the Chaos King. Two villains who just want to consume everything in their way, gobble up the entire universe, and not even think twice about it. But in a fight between these two universal gods, well, who's ultimately going to be coming out on top? And really, is it even close? Let's get into it. The Anti-Monitor is definitely one of the most confusing abstract beings in DC Comics. I mean, the guy has 4 official origin stories, none of which really mesh or go well with each other. But the gist is, the Anti-Monitor is a high-tier cosmic being that controls the antimatter universe, with the ultimate goal of destroying all positive matter, absorbing it into himself as antimatter, and recreating the multiverse in his image. While the Anti-Monitor is definitely one of the most powerful beings in the multiverse. You can kind of dumb it down and say that he has 2 basic incarnations of himself. The version from Crisis on Infinite Earths, the one that was created after the Crisis on Infinite Earths event. The Crisis on Infinite Earths Anti-Monitor was the one responsible for rebooting the entire DC universe, and he's comfortably a multiversal threat. But after he died, well, then he was reborn with significantly less power, but still more than enough power to pose a significant threat to everyone in DC. In Crisis on Infinite Earths, well, to be fair, Anti-Monitor was getting more and more powerful throughout the series. He got that power by absorbing positive matter universes in the multiverse and transforming it into the antimatter universe. As this happens, well, the antimatter universe doesn't just grow, but the Anti-Monitor gets more and more powerful. His goal is to consume all the universes in the multiverse in order to become all-powerful. Problem is, it looks like the Anti-Monitor takes a little bit of time to actually absorb that power into himself. This might be a weird inconsistency for the character, but it does explain why the Anti-Monitor can take a beating from Supergirl in one moment, then later on, he can take attacks from all the strongest heroes in DC and barely even flinch. We're going to be focusing more on the stronger version of the Anti-Monitor here. For starters, the Anti-Monitor has been able to stalemate the Monitor for 1,000,000 years, at the point where the Monitor was backed up and empowered by the entire DC multiverse, and the Anti-Monitor was backed up and empowered by the whole antimatter universe. So he was already an equal to the Monitor. Then he began consuming positive matter universes, becoming even more powerful. Actually got to the point where the Anti-Monitor destroyed an infinite number of infinite-sized universes and all the infinite timelines that were held in each one. Only 5 universes were left behind because they were saved by the Monitor. Not only that, but the Anti-Monitor went on to actually consume his own antimatter universe, which was pretty much directly equal to the size and scope of the DC multiverse. And at his best, at the height of all his power, well, the Anti-Monitor traveled back in time in order to eliminate everything and fought against the Spectre, the Wrath of God himself, in a fight that threatened to destroy all of existence. Basically, Anti-Monitor is comfortably a multiversal being because the dude can casually destroy universes like it's nothing and threaten the very multiverse itself. The Chaos King is the personification of the void that existed before creation, and in turn a manifestation of oblivion, the complete abstract embodiment of non-existence itself. Once believed to be simply a god like so many others, called Amatsu Mikaboshi by the Japanese pantheon, he is in fact something much, much more. A purely malevolent force of nature, the Chaos King is an eldritch being whose sole goal is the end of all existence. and as such he is the anti-god, who exists in direct opposition to the likes of eternity, forces of existence and creation. Even before the Chaos King ascended to becoming the Chaos King, an abstract entity, well, he was still seriously powerful. And a lot of that comes from his ability to absorb anything and everything. And I really do mean that, anything and everything. And anything that the Chaos King touches, well, as he absorbs it into himself, it goes on to become a part of him and becomes even more powerful because of it. He started out absorbing different godly pantheons, starting with the whole Japanese pantheon, then moving on to the Mayan and Celtic pantheons, stopping by hell and absorbing Satan, like Satan from the Bible Satan, and even made his way over to the Greek and Egyptian and Norse pantheons. Some of the gods ran away screaming, like Hela, because they knew they couldn't beat him, while other gods tried to fight, like Zeus, and were easily killed by the Chaos King. And every god that the Chaos King killed, well, then they were added to his god army, a whole bunch of undead gods forced to serve the Chaos King as slaves. And actually, because they were amped with the Chaos King's own power, well, all the gods got astronomically more powerful as they served in his army. Like Zeus, as one of the Chaos King's minions, one-shotted Galactus. And I don't think I have to tell you just how powerful Galactus is. This is an insanely impressive feat. From there, well, the Chaos King only continued to get more and more powerful, defeating beings like Nightmare or killing Gaia, who's the mother of all gods and the source of all their power, being seen as the true font of creation. Chaos King killed her. He got to be so powerful that Lady Death actually ran away from him and stopped exerting her power or presence in existence. And yet, Chaos King just continued going and going, absorbing everything around him, turning entire universes into complete voids of non-existence. And it finally got to the point where the Chaos King was declared to be the greatest threat the multiverse had ever seen, having absorbed and devoured 98.76% of the entire Marvel multiverse. So, who wins? Well, let's break it down. Now, it's clear these are two insanely powerful beings, and two gods that, when they're at their best, well, you can argue they're multiversal. Like, take the Anti-Monitor, for instance. He's been called the most powerful being to ever live. He's been able to crack open the multiverse. He can consume universes like it's nothing, and when him and his two brothers merged to become the Ultra Monitor, well, they were able to fight evenly with Perpetua, one of the hands of the greater Omniverse and the creator of the multiverse. So I guess you can say that the Anti-Monitor is 1/3 of Perpetua, so that's like crazy powerful. Of course, this does really depend on how powered up the Anti-Monitor is at the moment, because he also lost to Supergirl, and that isn't necessarily a one-off showing. Again, it entirely depends on how powered up he is. And while at his peak he is multiversal, he's not always that powerful. And you can't just ignore that the Guardians or Darkseid were able to fight against him, or heck, the fact that the Spectre was able to actually beat him in Crisis on Infinite Earths. And sure, you can argue that Hercules was able to ultimately beat the Chaos King, but I think that's more just because Herc got like the biggest upgrade of all upgrades. And outside of that, well, I think there are a few things that lead me to believe that the Chaos King was on a higher level than the Anti-Monitor. Like, for instance, just how easily the Chaos King was able to beat Galactus. And this is Galactus we're talking about here. At his best, Galactus is considered to be a cornerstone of existence, and being on par with eternity and death, and tasked with painting the balance between the two, basically meaning that he is an inner working part of the omniverse and on par with other multiversal abstracts. And we see that too, because when all his power is unleashed as a bomb, was able to destroy the Black Winter, who in turn had destroyed the sixth iteration of Eternity, was essentially the all-death that could destroy everything. And sure, you can try and argue that Galactus has also had his lower showings, like Thor's been more than a threat to him, and it's just a weaker showing for Galactus that Chaos King was able to beat him. But in response to that, well, again, the Anti-Monitor Supergirl nearly killed him. Secondly, it wasn't literally the Chaos King who was able to one-shot Galactus, but it was a Zeus who was amped up by the Chaos King who beat Galactus that easily. So safe to say, Chaos King should still be several tiers above this. Secondly, well, it was said that the Chaos King is the entity that's directly opposite to the multiversal Eternity. And Eternity, especially its true form as multi-Eternity, is the embodiment of the entire Marvel multiverse. And this is big. Like, this is big. Multi-Eternity makes up everything, and everything is contained inside multi-eternity. The entirety of the multiverse and all levels of reality and dream. So the infinite Earths, as well as the infinite worlds within worlds that exist above them. It's all contained inside of eternity. Even the superflow is simply eternity's mindscape, which ends up holding all the different multiversal abstracts that live within it. So Eternity is everything, and Chaos King is his direct opposite. That's more impressive scaling than anything we've seen from the Anti-Monitor, even the Anti-Monitor at his best. And even when the Anti-Monitor is at his best in Crisis on Infinite Earths, well, even then, a lot of what he was doing was accomplished with machines, and Anti-Monitor really only truly got going once the Monitor died, because he had no one left to stop him at that point. Compare that to the Chaos King, who was able to absorb 98% of the Marvel multiverse just because of his own power. And again, if you want to argue that Hercules managed to beat him, well, I don't see how that can be a knock against the Chaos King. Instead, it's just clearly a massive showing for Hercules, as he got one of the best power-ups in all of comics. Something on par with Cosmic Armor Superman or something like that. But really, I just don't see any way for the Anti-Monitor to clearly win here. Chaos King is undeniably more powerful, and if he's easily beating god pantheons and abstract beings like Galactus and Death, well, he should be easily beating the Anti-Monitor as well. The Chaos King wins.